A new Bedrock preview is here, and just 12 hours later, I can show you a seed where you spawn in an ancient city, the brand new structure that contains the Warden. And speaking of the Warden, he's now the new toughest mob in Minecraft, but to prove that, we're going to be putting him head to head with the Wither. But first, let's go through some of the weird things found inside of 1.18.30.33, which is a beta/preview for 1.19, the next big update. And honestly, this seed has to be highlighted first, because seriously, typing in this seed will spawn you directly into an ancient city. This is meant to be Minecraft's most formidable, challenging, and one of the rarest structures, if we're being honest, and you can spawn directly into it, which is really weird and a little bit wrong, right? Because it will upset some of the natural balance of the game. And in fact, if we go around and we look around this thing, I'm sure we can directly upset that too by getting what should be some of those late game chests for the players that decide to look around and spookily find this thing, and we're going to be able to get them right away. How much will that unbalance things? Let's find out, I guess, assuming we don't trigger the Warden, because of course he's around here too. But yeah, we can get as our very first items potions of instant health too, and some bones. And I want to talk about loot after we maybe find some more, but there's something else I want to discuss while we're here anyway, because when it comes to Bedrock, I think this is a more interesting way to look at the structure itself, mostly because Bedrock allows structures to collide a lot more than Java generally does. Some people would argue this is a downside. I would argue it's a huge plus. I would argue it's something I really find interesting, and let me give you some good examples of that, because this spawn area that we're on right now, it looks like it's an ancient city, but it's actually directly above a lava ravine. I think I can show you a little better over here. Look at this. You can literally see the gaps in it where the lava ravine is, making a much more interesting surface. You might also notice that not only we're in a cave, which allowed us to spawn there. By the way, also if you're curious, because I know I was, what happens if you type on the bonus chest and the starting map for a seed like this? Apparently, the map looks like this, and the bonus chest, the distance you have to travel to get to this bonus chest, like, it's 180 blocks up in the air. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either, but as you can see, it really is something that is worth paying some attention to, this seed is, and yeah, it's not just for the fact that we've got a lava ravine, it's not just for the fact that we have a ruin portal that you can see on the way up, it's for the fact that, yeah, all sorts of weird things can happen here, which lead to again, just fascinatingly interesting biome, like, for instance, ignoring that creeper that's probably going to blow up. We can also mention, while we maybe, there we go, here is another chest. As you can see, filled with only Minecraft's highest quality loot. I really think the loot in this biome is very controversial, so we'll make sure we'll come right back to that. But I also want to talk about the fact that, yeah, in this very same biome that we're running around right now, that we're spawning into, and that really is meant to be a weird structure, we can see it combined with all sorts of other things. That is a mob spawner right over there. Do you see that? It's just right there exposed in the corner. We're quite lucky that it's not all the way open, or maybe we're not, but the fact that all these things can just happen together show you some of the weird potentials of this update that aren't directly zombies threatening us with swords. So yeah, like also, for instance, if we go around through this cave, you'll notice, okay, on the left here, it looks pretty normal, and all of a sudden, oh, actually, here is a mob spawner. What's that doing there? I don't know. There's a lot to be found directly at spawn in this seed, including the last crazy thing that I just have to show you is because look at this ancient city right here. Ancient cities are meant to take up most of a deep dark biome, so it's entirely possible that because this biome is so large, it just takes up all that space, but there's a serious gap between that ancient city and this one, and so I think this might be our first example of two ancient cities together. Again, no real way to tell for sure if there's meant to be gaps, or if there's meant to be, for example, two of these central structures, because the one thing that's meant to define the center is this long corridor that leads up to the ancient city portal, or ancient city, whatever you want to call the big hole mouth. I think it's called the ancient city portal in the game files, but or the portal large. What's the deal with this and the reinforced deep slate? We still don't know. We just have a simple line in the changelog pointing us the fact that there are relics to be discovered here, which makes me think it's something that will come up later. But something that I don't think we can leave till later is a discussion on this loot, because for real here, you just saw me. I'm in the hardest to get to structure in Minecraft, at least at present. I'm in this very dangerous place. It's got the most fearful and dangerous, or the mob you should be the most fearful of It doesn't fear you, don't worry. This is the biome that has the most fear from players and the most danger directly at them. And what do you get in exchange for breaching these depths? Well, what you get is, as you can see, 2 potions of health. This was a pretty decent drop. I'm kind of glad for it. But also 7 bones and 10 books. I'm going to keep looking around and hoping to find some more of these chests, but the fact that even as an early game player, I can not take advantage, and even if I was a later game player, what would I be able to do extra? Like, turn the bone into bone meal? Do I have a bone meal shortage if I'm heading down here? Probably not. Same with books, right? It's not a particularly hard recipe to throw together, and so that makes me think that these are deliberate junk loots. I mean, the bones, you could argue, maybe they've got some, like, ooh, this is adding flavor to the world. It's meant to show that the Warden crushes the bones of his foes and puts them in chests. But personally, it doesn't show that to me. What it just says is, yeah, just like the Jungle Temple and the Desert Temple, this is just a form of junk loot you get when there's something else that needs to fill the chest. And so we get mostly chest fillers. We get sometimes potions, sometimes, oh, here's another chest. In this one, we get, okay, chest fillers. Sometimes you'll get sculk blocks though, sometimes you get sculk sensors, and so there's a decent argument. Ooh, there's another chest. There is a decent argument to be had for the fact, and sometimes you'll get enchantments, including that new one. But right now we have one major enchantment that's worth finding in those chests. It is the Swift Sneak, and everything else about the chest, you're better off just finding yourself. I mean, again, if you want to get sculk sensors, look how easy it is to get my hands on them. Oh wait, I didn't break it all the way. It looked like I did. But look at that, I have a sculk sensor now. I didn't need to go in a chest for that. Sure, there's maybe more danger to breaking them this way because when we break it, we might trigger another one, but it's still just the significantly easier way to get these blocks. It's the significantly easier way to get these sculk blocks themselves. And so the only, well, I guess you can't actually get these blocks, you just get experience. But the only really interesting thing here is an enchantment. The entire biome exists with a Warden that is scary, and it's interesting because you've got to fear him, and it exists with... Oh, I did say I had to fear him. I think I'm going to do that right about now. So here's a question you might have had before. Who would win in a fight? The Wither, the current hardest boss in Minecraft, or is it the Warden? And the good news for you is we can get a front row seat to this action. Okay, I've made an arena where they're gonna have to fight each other. Neither of them can get out of here because they're both too big to fit through the door. Really, this is a competition to see the fattest mob, but here's what happens if you lock them both in a room. As you can see, the Warden tries his best and, you know, like he has strong punches. However, the Wither has these explosions, and I'm just kidding. It's the Warden. Even though it takes him some serious time, and even though the Wither's got all these fun attacks, the truth is while the Warden has any range and reach on the Wither, while the Wither is near the Warden is going to mess him up. It's actually pretty crazy, because as a player, you'd be terrified of all these explosions, but the Warden effectively has max level protection from all of this stuff, and all he needs to do is once every now and then go for a very big punch on the Wither, and as you can see, halfway through now. And as you can see, he actually finishes the second half faster than the first, causes the Wither to explode, and I bet because he's such a flexer, he doesn't even go after the little Never Star. I bet he leaves that on the ground nicely for you to collect, and so he does. He makes a very loud noise though, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this is the point where I think we should address the fact that this is a very artificial situation. How many bedrock cubes do you find in your Minecraft world? Probably not too many, so I put them together in an actual cave-like scenario where you just summon one in yourself and summon the other one in yourself, and as you can see, because the Wither, you know, even though the Wither is significantly weaker, as funny as that is to say about any mob, but the Wither is significantly weaker than the Warden, the truth is, in the end, the Wither has the movement advantage, the Warden just does not, which means that the Wither destroys the Warden, although it takes something like 6 minutes. And so I think the valuable lesson we can take from that, besides clearly, if you're scared of the Warden, just bring a Wither with you, and then you'll have 2 things to be scared of rather than 1. But the valuable lesson to take from that fight is that movement is the thing that really does determine what gives you your advantage, and that's why once you get to a certain point in Minecraft, there isn't really any mob that can threaten you. Only the Ender Dragon, which ignores all rules, and even then, you can outmove the Ender Dragon by just getting slow falling potions or an Elytra, and yeah, that's the beautiful thing about Minecraft combat. It's all about position to some extent, more than everything else. And yeah, we could talk about that forever. However, I think it's important to come back now and talk about the loot in these chests, because again, this has been one of the big controversies, and I would like to, you know, point out that, like, clearly, if the goal here is to have the best chest loot, it hasn't done the job. In my opinion, the risk reward of this place totally does not stack up. It is one of the more terrifying places, especially as a casual or new Minecraft player, and right now it does not make sense, and I think there's one of two directions they could be taking this. One is the fact that obviously they could turn around and say, well, it doesn't add up yet because we haven't, finished what's happening here. That doesn't seem to be the case though. We get more and more indications that there really is nothing else they want to do here, or maybe, nothing else major. This is the structure as it is. There is this big mystery portal, but they're not solving the mystery yet. It's kind of like the dragon egg, and that like, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. But again, this is just what we've heard from developers so far. Maybe that's the best way to tease out that actually they're doing something amazing with this portal that makes the whole biome worthwhile. I mean, they're introducing a whole new block for it, so of course they have some plan, whether it's this update or another. But yeah, the argument could be that there is a big thing that we just haven't seen yet. If that's the case, that's totally fine. But I do also think then, if we're going to work with the argument that this is finished, at least for this update, then is this a worthwhile biome instead of loot now? No, the loot does not make this place worth coming to by itself. However, I think this is a good way to do structure design, because if we keep adding structures every update, we're going to have a lot of structures in the game, and they can't all compete on having the best, possible loot, because only one structure can have the best loot in the game. You could have different loot that made it slightly worthwhile, but what it seems like is going on here, at least in my opinion, is that this structure loot is not worth coming to the structure specifically for, but the structure itself is. Even if you are here solely with the intent you don't care about the deep dark and the lore, you just want to make your Minecraft experience better, come over here with pickaxe, you can get yourself some soul lanterns. Come over here with a pickaxe, you can get all manner of pre-chiseled deep slate blocks, which I'm going to be honest isn't that valuable, but maybe it's what you want. You can get grey wool in super large quantities, but also it's where you come to get the skulk blocks. This is kind of like, the redstone biome. It's actually, what a beautiful coincidence. Spider lighting up some redstone. But this is the biome you come to get that organic redstone stuff, and I think that, to me, that is enough to make it worthwhile by itself. Is the Warden a bit overkill to defend what is effectively a organic redstone biome? Yes, but will it be overkill when we find out what the portal does? Maybe not. When will we find out what the portal does? Who knows for sure is the sad answer. I'm very excited to see what is going on with all of this, but right now the big question still remains as far as like, okay, how does this all stack up, is when we know more, then we'll be able to tell you that for certain. In the meantime, I think what we can say with absolute certainty is that the Warden is a terrifying mob. Seriously, every time, even during these videos, I get actually a little spooked out, like viscerally. That's an important thing to be able to get even, being able to scare people in Minecraft is a fun experience, in my opinion. Also, I think we just had another, let's watch out for him then, shall we? So look at this, even with night vision turned on, which on Bedrock still allows you to avoid the darkness effect, even with night vision turned on, it is still just absolutely terrifying to see this guy. Let's throw some snowballs to distract him, shall we? Don't worry, Mr. Warden, there's a snowball over there. Look, not over here, over there. Oh, the Wither just came in and, oh god. Yep, that's something we've got to watch out for, huh? It's so funny to me that the thing that eventually did get me was actually the Wither that we left flying around, more than it was the Warden. Fortunately, this is a great biome to come to if you want some protections against that. But yeah, this whole biome is very exciting. I love to take a look around it. I love this seed. You really do have to give it a check out. It's a reminder of just how much more interesting seeds got, not only in 1.18.20 with the 64-bit thing, but also for 1.19, of course, there'll be new and weird and interesting things. And that's always fun as someone who loves looking at interesting spawn locations, because Minecraft itself, again, I know people love maps and this and that and different mods and challenges and all the things that people do. However, Minecraft itself offers so much challenge, which is why this whole super flat thing has been so interesting, I think, also. But also, it's just a sign that if you want to do something fun and interesting, you're probably just a Minecraft seed away from doing so. I'm dead now, though, so I guess that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, this time we actually spawned up on the mountain. We would only be 20 blocks away from the bonus chest. Or, alternatively, 100 blocks away from fighting me some Warden, or dying like that. Also works. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more, because, that's what people say at the end of videos, and goodbye.